I think some people in the industry, from YouTube, all the way across the board, they get so tied up into thinking that I don't want my readers to go read somebody else's stuff. It's stupid, because readers are going to read everybody's stuff. I encourage people to read everybody's stuff. And I've said this, 100 times, and the best example I can come up with that's been so obvious to me is with
Get the fuck up. Simon says, get the fuck up. Throw your hands in the sky.
What do you think of the fitness community today and all the shitty fitness gurus on social media? I think I've answered this a couple times before. The interesting thing to see will be if my answer is consistent with what I've had and answered before. This is all part of, it's all part of the industry. It's always been part of the industry. Before it was the internet, it was magazines and, buying pamphlets or programs out of the back of magazines, So there's always been snake oil salesmen. There's always been, supplement companies selling a bunch of bullshit. There's always been crap that's out there. It's on a different medium now. So I don't even really want to say there's more of it. It's just more visible to more people for them to be able to see, and the medium's different. When I look through most of the stuff, even the worst crap that I can find, or the most clickbaitish stuff that I can find, I don't ever really see anything really, really bad. I don't see things that I look at and like, oh my God, that somebody's gonna get hurt doing that. Sometimes, yeah, I do. But most of the time, what I just see is a bunch of really basic, regurgitated, general information that I think anybody who's been in the industry will agree with. It's just super, super basic and general, and it's out there for the beginners. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing if there's information that's being put out there for the beginners, because I really don't want to do it. I want to focus on people that are more serious about training and let, the rest of the industry take care of the beginners. The downside of that from a business standpoint is the money is in the beginners, because there's always new beginners. They come in, they come out, they come in, they come out. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. People don't stay in the fitness industry or the strength sports for very long. So when your market is those people, you're taking a billion-dollar industry and you're shrinking it tremendously, but I really don't want to deal with beginners. With that being said, there's two, when it comes to skill sets in this industry, it's really not that complicated in what really needs to be done. And I was just talking about this last night. The two areas that are actually the most complicated to work with in this industry as far as helping people to become stronger. The first area is the absolute beginner, the person that's never touched a weight before in their life. That takes a skill set. It takes a minimal skill set, but it takes a skill set so you don't hurt the person. Certain things have to be done because they're going to be weak, they're going to be out of shape, they're going to be deconditioned, they're probably going to have pre-existing health issues, they're going to have all these different problems going into it, that there has to be a certain skill set there just to make sure you're not hurting them and to make sure that you're not turning them off. If somebody, and this used to drive me nuts when I worked in the personal training sector, is I would see other trainers that the client would come in and they would do the health history and a needs analysis. And by the way, if regardless of who you are, if you're looking to hire a trainer at the beginner level, intermediate, or advanced level, and you're not presented with some type of health history or needs analysis, you're dealing with somebody that doesn't have a fucking idea what they're doing, so get away. Because those are necessary. You have to know that. You have to know somebody's injury history, what type of medications they're on, if they have any type of pre-existing health problems. All these can need to be known for any type of strength and conditioning. And if that's not being known, then it's just, they don't care about you, is what I would put out there, because they don't care enough to even ask. do you have any health history or any health problems or pre-existing injuries that need to be addressed. That aside, it used to drive me nuts when trainers would bring in clients and then they're doing a host of fitness testing, which probably does need to be done within the first month, 2 months, but it doesn't all need to be done on the same day. And the reason it drives me nuts was I can see resting heart rate, blood pressure, anything that's going to throw a red flag that you're going to say, look, you need to go see your doctor before just to check off on this. Usually you can tell that stuff pretty easy, you know, taking their blood pressure, taking the resting heart rate, and then have them walk on a treadmill for 2 minutes, and I know more about that person than, I know everything I need to know to get them started. But when you bring them in and then you're putting them through a flexibility test, body fat test, and all these different movement screens, and they're failing, you're already telling that person everything they already know. They already know they're not in fucking shape. That's why they came in. So you're reinforcing, dude, you're in terrible shape. You suck. That's not exactly the best impression for somebody that may have spent 3 years building up the courage just to step in the gym to make a change in their life. So while you do have to collect certain information to make sure that you're not going to hurt the person, you have to do this in a positive way to reinforce the decision they just made, to keep them doing it and to take that momentum, that first step that they took coming into the gym, take that momentum and build on it to make a lifestyle change for them. You don't do that by showing them how bad they suck. You have to be intelligent about it. That's why I say there has to be a skill set at the beginner level. Now at the very advanced level, working with top strength athletes, working with, you know, professional athletes, and anybody at the higher end or anybody that's been, has a training age of 20 years or more, 15 years or more, that becomes a little bit more complicated because they have the basics down. They know how to pretty much auto-regulate what they're doing with their own training. They know 80–90% of what they need to know to get better. Where they're coming for help is for you to help them with that other 10%. That takes a unique skill set. Now everybody that's in the middle, for the most part, really doesn't matter what they do, as long as they're consistent about it and they're smart about it and they apply and keep the consistency is the most important thing, and work hard to a certain degree. You know, they don't need to bust their ass every time, but if they show up and they're consistent and work at a semi-hard level, they're going to make progress to a certain point. So getting back to the state of the industry, I don't see, you know, it frustrates a lot of people. I do know that because I hear it, and sometimes I'll get frustrated with some of the stuff that I see. And you can't let it frustrate you, because the more that you're going to bitch about it, if you've been in the industry and you know what you're doing, the more that you're going to bitch about it, or the more you're going to post about how bad it sucks, is time that you're taking away from your own work, your own creativity, your own family, or helping people. So I would much rather see somebody, you know, write something to help those people become better, and then write 1,500 words on why the whole industry sucks. Because at that point, you're not helping the situation, you're actually adding to it without even knowing. So that's where I have the problem, is when I start to see people who I know are qualified people get caught up in this banter about how bad everybody else sucks. And it's like, dude, you know so much, you know you could really help a lot of people. Just let this shit go, because your readers probably aren't even reading it anyhow, and help your readers become better. This isn't helping your readers become better. If I think some people in the industry, from YouTube, you know, all the way across the board, they get so tied up into thinking that I don't want my readers to go read somebody else's stuff. That's stupid, because readers are going to read everybody's stuff. I encourage people to read everybody's stuff. And I've said this, you know, 100 times, and the best example I can come up with that's been so obvious to me is with bracing of the core. You know, I've seen 6, 7, 8 people present how to brace your core 8 different ways. Hell, this is just in this industry. We're not even talking martial arts and other industries as well. You know, there's probably 100 different ways to teach somebody how to properly brace their core and how to ground themselves. if you're not getting, and everybody, the end result from all these people who are teaching this is the same. So if you don't understand how one person's trying to present it, or I'm how I'm trying to present it, listen to somebody else, because they might say something that clicks. You're like, oh, I get that. Because your background may not be in powerlifting, and your background may be in football. So, you know, if you listen to somebody who just works with football players talk about bracing, they're going to use cues that are going to be more familiar with you, and you're going to understand and be able to do that. So I kind of rambled on there a little bit. So yeah, the industry's fucked up. I'm not going to deny that, but you don't want to get caught up in the suck. You want to get caught up into trying to make things better, you know, and trying to help other people. And if you focus on just trying to help other people, all that other stuff really doesn't matter that much, because you don't even notice it. The only time you notice it is when you get, you know, brain dead from working too hard, and you just want to take a break and you just go fuck around on the internet. You're like, oh my God, look at this. You know, it shouldn't preoccupy your life. It shouldn't take you away from your creativity and putting out the stuff that you should be putting out.